a very amazing statement by Osho, and he had said that आप स्वयं के अतिरिक्त और कुछ नहीं पा सकते. So you can find only yourself. And they said out the name Swayam Talks. He said that whatever you have, if you can share that is much more important rather than getting something which you don't have right now.
And if you are going to be a parent and if somebody is getting into the married life, make sure there is a huge role you play. I think for a child, the first role model is your parent. Unless you're disappointed in your parent, then you start looking for somebody outside.
I could sense that there is nothing permanent. So whatever I want to do, I have to do. Somebody had said very beautifully that there is only one life, but if you live it right, once is enough. घर से मस्जिद बहुत दूर, चलो यूं कर ले, किसी रोते हुए बच्चे को हंसाया जाए.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone across the world. Hi, this is your host Kundan from Unbinary Life. We have done so many podcasts about people's stories, and here is going to be one of the most fantastic one coming here right from Mumbai. This is from the people who have created Swayam Talks. Swayam Talk is all about people, and I love the human side in the world of AI, which is growing so rapidly. With me, I have Ashay and I have Naveen. They both have been nurturing this child from 2014, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And it has been an amazing journey. The stories I have heard, and some of the stories that I have gone through. You guys are gonna love the whole episode, so please stick to us and enjoy this journey. So let me welcome again Ashay. Welcome to Unbinary Life, and Naveen, welcome.
Hi.
Okay. So they both have started this organization since 2014, and they have really geared up since 2019. They're also coming up making movies. So, and I have seen the trailer. You guys gonna love it. So I'll put all this story on YouTube, so don't forget to catch us there. Before I keep speaking, tell us something more about both of you. And then starting with Ashay maybe.
Yeah. So the journey has been fascinating till now. And I have kind of moved from various industries, you can say. So started my journey in finance. So I'm a chartered accountant.
Wow.
So spent some time in finance. I will not say got bored, but went into something exciting. So technology was a place where I found some interest, and thought that the combination of finance and technology can add more value to the system.
Right.
So got into a space where we used to implement planning and budgeting solutions for corporates.
Correct.
And at that time, I used to kind of spend my weekends with Naveen. And got so many interesting stories, came across a lot of interesting stories, and thought that this can be an interesting field now. So most of the people say that the 40 is the place where you start think what to do next.
Okay.
And till that time, we spent a lot of time in the technology and the corporate space. This stories, individual life, real life stories was an interesting space, which I thought, and how it can be developed into a business idea along with Naveen.
Correct.
So trying since 2019 to kind of make this a interesting venture, bring real life stories in front of people.
Wow. No, huge congratulations on that. I think the human stories, and so guys, we were talking at the back, and beautifully it was put by Ashay and Naveen that though we see so many fiction stories, it's so important to present a simple life which is doing so much in real world and present it vividly. So that's what you guys are trying. Naveen, how did this journey started with you?
So I was with Patni Computers, one of the reputed software companies, or I would say pioneer companies.
Correct.
In India. And I had done my law, and I was with the legal team. Things were going well. There were no late sittings, I used to get weekends, so everything was fine. In 2008, my parents and Ashay's parents, they had gone to one place called Hemalkasa or Anandvan.
Okay.
So these are two places which are initiated by Baba Amte, one of the legendary social workers from Maharashtra.
Yes.
And when they visited that place, my father got so inspired to see that place. After interacting with those people, my father realized that after 60 years of establishment of Anandvan, I came here. So there would be more and more people in Maharashtra who have not experienced this. So I would be that person who would take those people and who would show Anandvan Himalkasa to people of Maharashtra.
Okay.
So that time he was 60. He had just retired from his government job.
Okay.
And he comes back and tells me that I want to start a new venture. And I want to take people to these places.
Your dad, right?
My dad.
Okay. Cool.
So I was with the corporate doing the normal thing.
Right.
And at the age of 60, he has that dream to show Anandvan to at least 1,000 people.
Wow.
And he actually promised, or he actually vowed in Anandvan that I would show Anandvan to 1,000 people.
Okay.
And he comes back and tells me that I want to start that. So I said, let us do it. But that night we also discussed that let us not start any other tour company which will show people typical places like Kerala. They are not bad,
Right.
but let us not start that.
Correct.
So let us stick to one idea that we will show entrepreneurship stories from Maharashtra through tourism.
Okay.
This is what we thought. And we named it as Amrut Yatra.
Okay.
So
So this was all with your dad, right?
With my dad, I was doing job. So we named it as Amrut Yatra, which is eternal journey.
Okay.
So he started taking people. So it was not about money, it was not about profits, it was his passion. And he started with 10 people's group. So when I actually visited Anandvan myself, I thought that this is a place where I belong. This is a place, or this is a space, I would say, where I belong, truly belong. And I'm a writer. I like to tell stories. I like to visit places, interesting places. I like to meet people. So I thought this is the area, or this is a space where I would say, do much better than what I'm doing today. And I thought about it. I discussed this with my wife that I want to do this. And there would be many such places where people would get to interact such amazing people. So for 2 years I was struggling. 2 years I was fighting with my family that let me leave my job. Because the back-end work of Amrut Yatra I used to do from office.
Correct.
Sorry, Patti computers, but I did it. But not at the cost of any, my job.
For sure, yeah.
So I used to do this back-end work like copywriting, writing advertisements, talking to people. And I thought this is a space where I belong. So eventually in 2012, I left my job and joined my father. When I actually started roaming around Maharashtra and when I started meeting amazing people, I thought there would be many places, like, as I said before, that there would be places where people can be taken, people can be given great experience. But that time, one interesting thing happened that Ashay used to watch TikToks.
Okay. Yeah.
And we thought that let us create one platform in Marathi, which has a TED Talks format, which has that production quality, and which has that grandeur which TED Talks have. So let us create this kind of thing in Marathi. Because interestingly or ironically, the Marathi backdrop was very sluggish in terms of experiences. So there was no, the Marathi talk shows were very boring, I would say.
Right.
So we thought that let us create that magic of live talks in Marathi. So I created one note. I still have that note,
Okay.
which said that there would be one program per year and people have to pay 10,000 rupees for that one program. I still have that note.
Okay.
So it should have that kind of value that whatever happening in Maharashtra, whatever is going to happen in Maharashtra, that should be demonstrated in that one program.
Okay. Okay.
So it should be sort of a, I would say, a roadmap for Maharashtra.
Right.
And best of people of Maharashtra should attend that program. And this is how the idea came in, and we named it as Swayam Talks.
Okay.
So it is all about oneself.
Sense.
Swayam is self.
Yes.
So any journey starts with a self.
True.
So maybe that is a freedom fighting or whatever. That idea came to one mind, and that way that Swayam is very important. And I had heard a very amazing statement by Osho, and he had said that आप स्वयं के अतिरिक्त और कुछ नहीं पा सकते.
Okay. That's deep, huh?
So you can find only yourself.
Right.
And this is how Swayam, the name Swayam,
Born.
born. I discussed this idea with all these friends, and everybody liked it. I still remember there was a debate whether people will pay for this kind of talk shows, whether people will attend this kind of things. But I thought this has some
Some value.
value,
At the end.
and we should do it.
Right.
And this is how it started.
Wow. Right. So you guys have added a lot of values, and I'll come to it specifically of each of the things that you both have mentioned. It's beautiful, and we'll explore more of this journey. Even I fancy human stories, and this story is super exciting. As in, anybody, if you are listening to me, you don't know like how much energy surge I'm going through right now. It's amazing. Now, there's one more thing that I believe in personally, and mostly that's how I'm thriving on Binary Life also, is that what has happened in most of the talk shows is that people talk about the success, and this is your professional, as of now, it's your professional story. But there are still two humans behind it, and there is so much more. As in, now I have met your team. I love every one of them. As in, like, the energy of your space was so awesome that as I entered, I felt like I came home, right? And so there are still humans. So I just want to understand your human story more than that, as in what kind of child you were, okay? And Ashay, we can this time start with you. Is that tell us something about your childhood and how did you evolve into team which is contributing now?
So actually, I was a pretty notorious child. I was very flamboyant, and always I believed that if you have a situation, I always wanted to be at the center of those things. And in that excitement, most of the times what happens is, even if you don't have anything concrete, and if you have that curiosity to remain in spotlight, you create some of your own stuff around. And that's where I think so my mom and dad played a very interesting role.
Okay.
So when I used to kind of create something which was not real, my mom explained it to me in a very interesting manner.
Wow.
So she said that hey, whatever you're trying to, it's fine. But you have to understand that every individual is a brand. And what do you mean by a brand? That when people will hear Ashay as a name, what comes along with Ashay becomes very important. So in they believe that this fellow just keeps on saying something which is not real, and it keeps on adding up. After a point in time, whenever people will say Ashay, they say that somebody was just trying to kind of make something, nothing real stuff inside. And now it is open for you.
Correct.
If you want to kind of stay as this brand, you can stay in this. Another stuff was how to handle, so as most middle class families would have.
Right.
In those days, most of the times it was scarcity was driving that stuff.
True.
So how to kind of manage scarce resources? So it was just very small example that one of my friends whose dad was working in Dubai at that time. So he used to come down with pistachios in his pocket. And normally it would happen that if he comes down with that stuff, we used to give it to everybody, and he becomes the center point of that discussion. Yeah. And because I could not afford that, I used to kind of feel that, because he could spend that much, he is getting that space. But I want that space when I'm there and I am kind of giving pistachios to everyone. So I once went and asked my mom that how kind of costly is a pistachio. He says, what happened? Suddenly you're talking about pistachios. He says, I can buy me some pistachios so that I can go and share it with my friends. So she got to know there's something inside. So do you really know that what kind of drives this thing? Just explain. She said that whatever you have, if you can share that, that is much more important rather than getting something which you don't have right now. I can give you pistachios, but it would be one time.
True.
What if you have groundnuts at our place?
Yeah.
You take that in your pocket and go and share. And I'm telling you, if you share, people will like it. I went and I kind of did that. And rather than people accepting that, what you felt inside was the real realization. Because whatever you don't have, if you try to kind of share it, every time you'll have to kind of keep something, or you have to kind of make something which is not there with you.
True.
But if you are able to share what is with you, because you have earned that, and now I'm able to kind of share it with people, and the smile which I saw on our friend's face.
Right.
So in this overall childhood, I understood two things. One thing is, it is good to be in spotlight, but you will have to really, really work hard to be there.
Right. Okay.
And wherever you reach, if you are able to share it with people, and that became my habit. So in corporate life also, whether it is, if you learn something, and if a junior asks you something, I was never insecure to tell him, because I always believe that if I share this knowledge with him,
Right.
I will have enough space in my mind to kind of get the new knowledge. If I try to kind of just keep it and I don't share it, if I am insecure that if I share this and I'll not have anything for myself, that would be a very narrow mindset.
True.
So that I think so parents inculcated very well, that be flamboyant, but with that flamboyance there is that effort which is needed. So if you don't put effort and if you just try to be flamboyant, you are creating some bubble which someday will burst. So I think so that was a very nice learning from the childhood, which I still value and carry in whatever I'm doing.
Right. Naveen, yeah, you also mentioned that you had a very blessed childhood. So, and I am so inspired to hear your dad talking all this business thing. I wish my dad would have done that. How was your childhood? How did it evolve from childhood to teenager?
I was born in a middle class Maharashtrian family. My parents were government servants. I don't think money was never a talking point in our home. It was typical Maharashtrian family. So there was no talking about business or nothing. But I had a great exposure about literature,
Okay.
books, drama, film, and people.
Okay.
And I grew up in a place called Girgaon, which has amazing social fabric. So it was not a typical block culture or flat culture per se, but there used to be a common galleries. So it is called Chawl in
Yeah.
Mumbai. So we had amazing social atmosphere in Girgaon. So I'll just tell you one example as Ashay put it. So we used to have India Today at our home that time.
Right.
When we used to have Marathi papers, we used to have every Monday India Today. I never read India Today that time. So somebody asked my father, why India Today in your home? So he said, I still remember his answer, that he should be aware that there is one magazine called India Today. At this age, this kind of awareness is enough. So this kind of atmosphere I got at my home.
Right.
And one amazing thing happened in 1983 or 84. My parents decided to start one festival.
Okay.
And it is called Gokulashtami, which is believed to be Lord Krishna's birthday. Generally, it happens in August. So they started one festival, this Gokulashtami, and the central theme was not any spiritual or any religious things, but calling some writer, calling some personality from literature at our home.
Right.
And we used to have 10 by 10, two rooms of 10 by 10 square feet.
Okay.
In that small place, we had great of the great writers
Okay.
from Marathi.
Okay.
And that kind of atmosphere I got. when I was a child.
Clearly, there is a huge influence here.
So if you ask me what they said, I don't recollect. Sometimes I used to play when they used to come. But something interesting happening in my home. That was a feeling I had in my childhood. And I think that was very important.
Correct.
So I don't think they taught me anything. I don't know. But they gave me a lot of exposure to these things. And I think that is the most important factor in my childhood. So it shaped my life in such a way that I used to participate in everything, right from sports to elocution competition to singing competition. So I used to represent my school in cricket. So from 5th standard to 9th standard, I represented my school in cricket.
Okay.
I don't know whether to say it on camera, but Sachin Tendulkar was a contemporary that time. He was in 10th when I was in 6th.
Oh, wow.
And he used to play school.
It's from the same schools.
No, we were in different schools. But I had school competition.
All right, yeah.
So I have seen Sachin and Vinod Kamli playing in their school nets.
Yeah, okay.
So kind of contemporary to Sachin Tendulkar. But I think those days shaped my life, I would say. Meeting new people, and I think the seed of Swayam, I would say I would say the roots of Swayam are in those days.
Yeah.
So this kind of exposure I got, and that was the only learning I got, that whatever you do it at your best. But just participate. The results are not important.
Correct.
So I used to be everywhere.
Yes.
I was good in studies also. I used to be in first 3 or 4. But I used to participate in everything. So I think that exposure is what matters, and this is what shaped my life, I would say.
Lovely. So before I go ahead, I really want to thank your parents. I wish I can meet them and personally, So just send my grand regards to both of them. What they have done is the brilliant job. And to all my audience, please make sure your parents, listen to this episode. And if you are going to be a parent and if somebody is getting into the married life, make sure there is a huge role you play. I think for a child, the first role model is your parent.
Right.
Unless you're disappointed in your parent, then you start looking for somebody outside. Other than that, it doesn't matter. Those small things like the India Today story, that just puts a seed in you. That story about the peanut, I just so loved it. It's not about how much do you understand, but there is a seed that has been planted which will grow with time. Okay, that you've got to be thoughtful. You got to be open to the world. And to all my audience, I'm very emotional here, and I really want all of you to reflect back and look how important it is. Even not only being a parent and even being a leader, it is very important that what kind of nurturing you give it to your team.
Right.
So, okay, with that, we'll come back again. We'll talk about Swayam now, okay?
Yeah.
So, you guys, how did that first conversation happen between both of you? That, between Ashay and Naveen, because you guys are friends, you guys sit, chit-chat. Now, suddenly, where did this Swayam came in between both of you?
So actually, when Swayam as a concept, when it started, as I said, Naveen was heading it all alone.
Okay.
So at that time, because Amrut Yatra and Swayam Talks were happening parallelly, it was kind of a once in a year event which used to happen.
Right.
And rest of the year, he was more concentrating on the tours and curating new tours. That was his job. But when Swayam started happening and we started putting those things on the digital channels,
Right.
it started getting a lot of reach.
Okay.
And then I sensed that we are creating something valuable and we are restricting it to only a particular live audience.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas it has got the potential to reach many. And when it is reaching many people, whatever stories we used to get, we used to think that it is making some difference in their lives. Because all these are real stories. It is about real people managing some challenging situation or creating some difference in the society. And that is creating an environment where everybody believes that we should contribute something to the society. And that was a very interesting discussion which we had, where we thought that whatever was being presented on Swayam is adding some value to the society.
Right.
And if we are creating that environment that everybody, when they are trying to create a new venture or creating a new concept, everybody first thinks that what is the value we are adding.
True.
And if that idea we are seeding into people, it needs to spread to more people. And that's when and just to kind of give you a background, that he is mostly the artist type of it.
Okay. Yes.
So he is the heart and I am the brain.
Brain. Wow. Perfect.
So the heart doesn't have any limits.
Right.
So it dreams, it comes up with very interesting projects. And then you need to have a brain which is open enough to listen to that dream what comes in.
Yes.
Try to put it in some form, some execution model to it, and then create an execution engine for it.
True.
So I said to Naveen that if you want to kind of really scale this up, I can come into the picture. But you will have to need the dreams part of it. I will take care of the execution part of it. Because till that time, what needs to happen is, if you have a program, now he wants to kind of do the program at a grandeur level. But if suppose that ticket sale has not happened,
True.
or the sponsorship is not come in, he is kind of eroding his capital.
True.
And that cannot continue for a long time.
It's a pistachio thing.
It's
sustainable.
They do not sustainable. So somebody has to come in and put a process in place
Right.
on which you can kind of put your dream.
True.
And I always kind of I had coined a term which is called thrive.
Okay.
So before thriving, you have to survive.
Oh, yeah, sir. Thrive. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So you cannot thrive without surviving.
Without surviving. Correct.
So if you just say that I'm going to kind of go all out, and you don't kind of live through that journey, you will die somewhere.
Correct.
So if you have the thrive, it is always that balance between thriving but surviving.
True.
And for that, whatever model needs to be put in place, that became my role in Swayam.
Wow.
And we both agreed to it. And we defined those roles. So my role in the overall organization is try to put some method to this madness which is happening. And his job is to kind of give me more madness to handle.
This is actually interesting. As in, I find I answer a lot of questions. I like psychological and physiological questions. So I find a lot of people asking this question about, hey, should I follow my brain or should I follow my heart? And I always say, what is the problem having both? You got to align, because most of the people I see in pain is that they try to listen to their brain, and if there is some problem, they run to the heart.
Right.
If there is some problem with the heart, they'll run to the brain, and you'll keep chasing both of them. Why not to bring that alignment? And from your story, this is what I'm hearing. So this is perfect.
And I always believe that whatever you do, first you have to create a philosophy for it.
True.
What philosophy does, when any new entrepreneur, so I had created a philosophy for myself when I went into entrepreneurship.
Correct.
So it is a very small experiment which we used to do in school, which we used to take a magnifying glass. We used to kind of hold it onto a paper, and with sunlight we used to burn.
Right.
Okay. Now if you kind of think deeply, there are three elements to it.
Okay.
One is you have a magnifying glass in your hand, and you are able to keep it steady.
True.
Okay. Now that is the place where it is this controllables which come for an entrepreneur.
True. Right.
That be fixed on something for a reasonable period of time. The second thing is what you are kind of focusing on. Does it have the capacity to burn? Now if you kind of hold that magnifying glass on a stone, whatever happens, it is not going to burn. So the paper is my reflection of, do you believe that this idea is going to kind of click someday? I'm not talking tomorrow, I'm not talking, it might take some time.
Correct.
Is it going to burn whenever it happens? And the third part is the sunlight which comes as the luck or whatever you call it.
Right.
So there is some timings which are there. So if you have a paper and if you have a magnifying glass and if you hold on to it for a pretty long time and the clouds clear and the sun comes out, it is going to burn.
Right.
Now, if you have this philosophy, you can kind of sustain the difficult times because you know this paper has the capacity to burn.
Sure.
I have the capacity to hold strong. The sun is going to come out any day. And with this, if you kind of run any concept, it will help.
Right.
But if you don't have this philosophy, every day you will kind of come and say that there is no fire. When it is going to come?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very frustrating. How long I should hold on to? So I believe that anything which you create, if the philosophy is not strong,
True.
the execution becomes very difficult. And that is when I was so I saw this inflammable thing in Swayam. And I saw from 2014 to 2019 the journey that Naveen's capacity to kind of hold on to that stuff.
True.
Now somehow to kind of bring in the sunlight.
Yeah.
And kind of keep supporting that concept till the sunlight comes out.
Right.
That became the whole journey.
That's a beautiful one. Because even in my sessions when I talk about business, I very clearly say that businesses are living entity. They behave like human child. It's post 3 years just to make it survive. After 2 years, and then when the 5 years done, the business will start telling you this is what exactly I need. It will start talking to you. And if you can survive it for 5 years, suddenly a lot of tentacles starts opening up. A lot of options start opening up, and then you'll realize that, hey, I can tap the whole world out of the business. So beautiful that you have crossed that journey. So with that, now I'll come to Naveen. Because Naveen, how was that 5 years of journey? Because now being a business person, and I do coach about entrepreneurship also, I think the resource management, a lot of people will give up in 6 months, 1 year. Now, how did you convince your family? And then quitting the job, that is one. And then how did you sustain? Because I'm pretty sure the resource crunch would happen. Like finances are a real thing. Money is the biggest enabler. So how was your journey as in for those 5 years?
So I would answer your first question.
Right.
How did I convince?
Yeah.
So actually, as I said earlier, it took me 2 years to convince the whole family. The wife was already convinced on the very first day. And she said, you do whatever you want. And I believe whatever you will do, you will do good.
That's sweet.
So that was one thing. As a middle class Marathi family, there was a resistance. But there was a point, actually sat with all three. And I said, okay, if tomorrow, if I go to office, I will die. Now that is a situation. Now you tell me what to do.
You were so full, right?
I was full.
Okay.
And another thing happened is my company was taken over by some other company.
Correct. Yeah, Patni was taking over.
So one software company took over Patni Computers.
Correct.
And being a legal person, I could see the whole drama.
Okay.
So I could sense that there is nothing permanent.
There's nothing. Yeah.
So whatever I want to do, I have to do.
True.
And if there is only one life, I have to live that life. And somebody had said very beautifully that there is only one life, but if you live it right, once is enough.
Yes.
So I thought this is the time that I should live my life. Okay. Because I had experimented in some other ways also, which my wife had suggested. That if you like to write, if you love to play harmonium, you should get up at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So I used to get up at 4 o'clock.
Right.
Till 6 o'clock, I used to live my life. Then I used to go to company. But at first, I thought this is not enough.
Yeah.
I want to explore the whole thing.
True.
I cannot live two lives
Correct.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So if I have some great idea, if I have some great writing idea, and I'm sitting in a board meeting and watching or listening something not related to my actual core, that was very painful.
True.
So actually I told my family that I have to leave. And with financially also, fortunately, I did not have those liabilities.
Okay.
So we could take that
Enough.
decision.
Correct.
So I convinced my family that let us, manage that.
Sure.
So whatever savings we have, let us manage that. So it happened.
That's super brave.
So I think somebody has to put that foot down
Correct.
and say, I cannot go. from tomorrow. And when I talked to my family, I was not concerned. I was not worried what people would say.
Right.
I was concerned with my family.
True.
Because every day I have to face them. Of course, I had talked to my friends, but the family was first. So I convinced them. They got convinced. So many people say it was a great daring that you took that plunge or whatever. But मैं हमेशा ये बोलता हूँ कि जो काम अच्छा नहीं लगता वो रोज करना ये मेरे हिसाब से daring है. So this is how it happened. And as far as those first 5 years are concerned, I was also doing Amrut Yatra.
Okay.
So that was a tour company
True.
which used to take people to these places. And it was giving sufficient money
Okay.
to survive. Okay, that was sustainable. But Swayam used to happen every once in a year.
Okay.
So as Ashay said, if Swayam has to grow, there has to be a different business model. So Ashay actually called me and said so he told you very sophistically, but he said बाजू में बैठो अभी मुझे आने दो.
बोलने वाला है.
ऐसे नहीं चलते अब.
I have it in my note. It is gonna be so fun to watch you guys discussing on the execution because this is what brain says. No, this is how it will go. And you have to no. So the problem with heart is that heart flows. Okay, it's just everything. Let it come, and the brain says no. Let me first calculate if it is right way or wrong way. Oh God.
No, but the easiest part for me, as far as I'm concerned, actually we had a long relationship
Correct.
as a friend. So I had a 100% trust on Ashay
True.
that he's not going to, spoil this.
True.
There could be errors, that is fine.
Correct.
But there is no breach of trust. There is not going to be a breach of trust. So I was pretty comfortable on that. So I just got surrendered to whatever he says, whatever he said, whatever he says.
I could so much see the heart and brain now. The way you guys are talking and sitting also. So beautiful. And I'm sure all the audience would find it equally energetic. Guys, do come on the YouTube. Do watch this video live. As in live when I say onto the video recorded friend, you could realize it, the kind of smile I'm getting from both of them. It is exactly how they both play out. And it's lovely. It's lovely. Well, it's really the one point which was very strong, which is coming out. And now I have realized it recently also, is that if there is any damn chance that you could live a life which is full of love, every moment you do what you love, it could be good or bad. The experiences might vary. Nobody's saying that it's going to be rosy, and I have written an article also that love is not a cotton candy. It's going to be difficult, but at least at the heart of, that you're not doing something which you are being forced to or which you do not enjoy. I think everybody should take a chance at least, right? And the chance is minimum for 18 months to 2 years. You just cannot do it for a few months and then leave it. And I realized that when actually I was in a romantic love, I realized that if I could live a life with somebody, why should I just give up in the terms of what social norms has been made and what is right and wrong for me? And honestly now, because you guys have been so open, I tell you recently, because I'm almost touching 40 now, suddenly that scare is there in me that life is passing out. It's very quickly it's moving out. And then I got to live every day what I really want this life to be, rather than just chasing behind the money. It's like, I think after a certain amount of certain time, it starts rolling itself. And it can be sustainable at least for sure. So thank you so much for all these lovely insights. Now, one major questions that I have written, and I want both of you to give the similar as an opinion or that is, most of us are mostly hurt by people. It's always, if we come across, the complaint is from the people. It could be any damn, it could be relatives, it could be friends, it could be, family, it could be any damn thing, but most of the problem comes with people. But why is this common thread, I find it everywhere, is that let's do this for people. All this happiness, the drive that comes, what your father started with, why it has to be something to give away? Rather than focusing on self that, hey, I'm owning so much that I created, now I have 1 car, I have 4 cars. I have 3 BHK, now I have 4 3 BHK which I have put on rent, and then gradually paying EMI, I'm getting old. What's that one thing that even being so hurt by people around us, when we really want to gain that inner happiness, we tend to move towards giving away to the people or doing something, as you said, that You were always, Ashay, you were saying that everybody thinks that I should do something for the society. I wish everybody could do that. Okay, the society would be very different, but actually is not the case. Unless you move to a certain state of mind where you want to now self-attain your state, it's not everybody. People are still very self-focused. So what do you think is that giving away as that happiness? What actually makes it so special?
Actually, when you develop a capacity to give away, and most of the times people believe that giving away is something which is a material term.
Right.
Whereas giving away can be a very small thing as listening to a person. And I believe that if you have that capacity, you feel very abundant inside.
Yeah.
I think so that is something which is, I cannot talk for the world, but you feel very complete.
Yeah.
Now, when you kind of listen to someone who comes and tells that life has been a struggle right now, and you say that I know,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than that, oh, what is rubbish?
Correct.
Why are you kind of cribbing? Don't crib. You just know right now that this man's state of mind is difficult.
Right.
He wants somebody just to kind of bounce his frustration out, and you become that bouncing board.
Correct.
Now, this is also giving.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has to have that somebody is stuck somewhere and you feel that I should kind of just be there with him and tell him that whatever you think, I kind of help you with that idea.
Right.
That is giving.
Yep.
Now, when this starts happening, and as you said that most people hurt you, but it is not about that hurt. It is when you kind of understand that your way of thinking and people's way of thinking, there is bound to be difference.
Yes.
Now, when you don't hold on to those differences, you kind of get lot of insights.
Right.
That's why I keep on saying that anybody talking to you, he is kind of saying bad about you. He might be telling that you are wrong. Have the capacity to listen everything which he's saying, because he might be right in some area.
Exactly.
Don't miss that stuff.
Yeah.
After he is completed, you have complete freedom to take it, evaluate inside,
Yeah.
and say that, no, I think so, he misinterpreted me.
Perfect.
I am not that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will continue. But listen to that person.
True.
So, once you keep on doing these things for a pretty long time, you get settled inside. So, we jokingly say that whenever you go for some function, some people come and say that, oh my God, what a fantastic job you guys are doing. And we take it as if, oh, wow, we are doing a fantastic job. If somebody comes and, it's a very funny incident that somebody on our face told us
Yeah.
that by looking at you guys and the concept which you are working, I believe you guys will never be able to come up with any business model. I'm telling you on your face. And we are just smiling at him. Yeah, actually, it might be true. We are trying. We don't know. But allowing that thing as an information and nothing taken as personal.
True.
So the kind of appreciations are not taken personally.
Yeah.
The kind of criticism is not taken that personally. You take everything as information, process it, and then what gets processed inside, you say that this is a villain. And I think so that is also one more thing which everybody should understand, that most of the times which we feel that we are doing something for the society.
True.
Actually, it is we are doing it for ourselves.
Correct.
If we are not happy doing that stuff,
Right.
and our statement starts becoming, we are doing so much for the society, but nobody kind of cares. That's where the disconnect happens.
Right.
So any entrepreneur, I believe that as long as you are enjoying this process, and as you rightly said that it is not going to be cotton candy for the whole journey.
Yeah.
It is coming up, it will come up with its challenges.
Correct.
It will come up with its pressures. But after that day is over, next day when you get up, ask yourself the question, after all this stress, do you still want to continue?
Right.
And if the answer is yes, please continue.
Yeah.
Because my previous venture, I was working with my group of friends, and we took that organization at a very nice level. At that point, when I started feeling that, okay, I'm done with this concept, I have given whatever I had to give to this concept, there is nothing more left to be given.
Correct.
I told those friends that, okay, this is what I feel there is nothing more left. And they were gracious enough to accept my request, and they said that yes, you can go on to kind of do whatever you love.
Yes.
We have full support, so we are still connected.
Right.
So I believe that your capacity to kind of understand that there will be differences and manage that will help you a lot.
So I now when I talk onto this, because you are validating, I think once you start reaching out to the self-attainment state, the conversation starts matching up so beautifully. Is that I tell people that many a times these statements are just as it is. We do not have to conclude out of it. So for example, if I'll say somebody, why are you sitting here? And then they'll say, is something wrong? I didn't say that sitting here is wrong or right. I simply asked, okay, how did you deduce that there could be something wrong? If somebody says, I have 1 BHK house, how do we reach to a point that 1 BHK is a good or bad thing?
Right.
That's how I think most of us, the brain gets trained to reach to a conclusion, which actually creates more problem.
Right.
If you let the statement be as it is, okay, I have 1 BHK, I have 1 BHK, I'm sitting here, I am sitting here, yes, I'm sitting here. It actually solves a lot of problem, but you're validating the same thing. It's beautifully said. So with that, Naveen, what do you think is so much empowering for you in giving away? And Ashay, very beautifully said. When we talk about giving away, it's not something that, oh my God, we are taking a pain. Then it's more about we are doing something for us, which is having a positive ripple effect.
Right.
Correct. There always be ripple effect. There'll never be one that you send through it's more like water. This is how I believe in. The ripples that you are creating is something inspiring. And that's how I think the childhood stories and everything came, that even though you didn't know what exactly the statement was, there was something positive about it. There was something negative about it. So you decided I should keep this and I should leave this. Right. For you also, what that inspires you more now? And what happiness that you inculcate? Because I'm trying to find those answers for people, because there are many such people, what you started in 2014 and 2019, there's still many people dreaming now.
Right.
And for them, it would be inspiration, because when they match that feeling, they'll say, oh my God, these guys had the same feeling then, so I'm at least on the right path.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Asha has already put it very beautifully. I will just add one point from my side. I think giving away should not be considered as virtue.
Yeah.
That should become your second nature. That should become your core. So somebody has put it beautifully that when you are giving compliment to somebody, you are making 2 people happy.
Correct.
So this is what giving away is all about. So you're making yourself happy.
Right.
And that happiness is never outside, it is within each of us. We just have to tickle that happiness. And I think these are various forms in which you can tickle that happiness. It is very much inside, and I think it should become your second nature. It should not be considered I am doing something great.
Correct.
So as an artist, I feel that Swayam Talks is all about expression. Swayam Talks is all about telling the story.
Right.
Swayam Talks is all about sharing something which I want to share with lakhs of people. So it is all about the expression. So I don't think, as Ashay said it beautifully, that I think when you meet a lot of people, when you travel, when you meet a lot of people, when you interact with different types of people, I think that wisdom gives you that insulation. So I think that is most important. So whatever happens is fine.
I think the writers and readers, they have such beautiful anecdotes. Just now, he gave a beautiful anecdote as that the complimenting makes 2 people happy. So, wow, beautiful. I'll take that punch. And yeah, you were very much right when you said about it should be your second nature. I think, and what we are trying to do, maybe through Swayam or through this talk, is that I call it a model when I go for any talk session, is that I take a whiteboard, I divide into 3 parts, is knowing, doing, and being. Okay. So I always say that, look guys, I'm going to talk philosophical. There won't be hardly anything which you do not know.
Right.
So if you start putting it, most of you know. How many of you are doing? So what I do is I let them write the name on the slip and I put in there, where do you want to paste it? And then only a few people paste it on doing. I have found exceptions who have, as in the being center, right? And exactly what you're saying is that I think, and that's what it happens, that if you know something, and there is one more dialogue I always say, that philosophy will only work when you start practicing it. Once you start practicing, otherwise it's a bullshit. I'm sorry to use this language, but many people, I have found people who say, Kundan, what is this inner journey? This is a bullshit. I hear from a lot of people. I said, yes, you are very right. I said, this is. But unfortunately, I've taken that bullshit. So I think, yeah, that very beautifully said that once you start doing it, then we realize, and then it becomes your second nature.
So, for example, if you are traveling in a train or metro, if you see some elderly person, you offer your seat to that person. It should be that easy.
Yeah.
Be as easy as. So there should not be any rebel कि मैंने कुछ किया आज ऐसे.
Right.
It shouldn't be as simple as that.
Wow, so much. I for sure enjoyed this conversation, and there is so much for me to take away. Now,
I just
yeah, please.
I just remembered one amazing share by Gita Fazli.
Okay.
So he has put it so beautifully that he says, घर से मस्जिद बहुत दूर, चलो यूं कर ले, किसी रोते हुए बच्चे को हंसाया जाए. It is as simple as.
Yes. Guys, I would so recommend, for you to take this episode to you, to your friends, to your everybody with whom you plan that, hey guys, there's a lot of chit chat you do, man, your friends, that let's do it. Now this is the time, this is the episode for you to listen and just start doing it. After 5 years, maybe, who knows, we'll be talking on this podcast, and there is so many beautiful stories like wow. So don't forget that. And moving ahead, and I know I'm taking so much of your time. Now, what is the future? What is the future of Swayam that you guys are looking forward to? What's the next project that you guys are working on now?
Next project.
Yeah.
So we used to tell stories through talks or podcasts. And I will just put one incident.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Ashay were traveling from Nashik to Aurangabad. These are two cities in Maharashtra.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody called on my phone that I am Bayasat Kapse.
Okay.
And I heard that I understand you are going through my place or my city. So I just request you to drop in for 5 minutes. So I said, actually, it's very strange that somebody calls me on number and says that. So I said, let me come back to you. We both discussed what to do. We had to rush to Aurangabad for some meeting. That person called again and said, just come for 5 minutes. I said, let's go. Let's check what is there. So we there very reluctantly.
Okay.
As we had to rush to somebody's calling and come here. Okay, let's go. And when we actually visited that place, we saw amazing infrastructure, amazing landscaping, and very nice setup. So we asked him, what is that? What is this all about? So he is one of the biggest Paithani makers in Maharashtra. So Paithani is one sari for the weave. So he said that I belong to this, I own this company, Kapse Paithani, and I used to be a salesman in one Paithani shop. And somehow I left my job and started my own. And in 10 years, I made a lot of money. So I asked my family what to do with this money. They said, let us open one franchisee, let us open one shop in Mumbai. So he said, I think you have not understood my question. I am asking how to spend this money, and whatever you are telling, it will just add up this money.
Yeah.
And this answer we thought very interesting.
Right.
And we stayed there for 2 hours just for that one answer. And we asked him, what is this project? So he said that getting new artisans would be very difficult for us going on. But what if I teach this art to deaf and mute kids?
Okay.
And he actually adopted 100 such kids. He trained those kids in making Paithani and made them self-sustainable.
Wow.
And when we saw that project, experienced the whole thing, we actually, I still remember it was 11 November 2020, and we sat in the car and we both said, "Hey, talk se kuch nahi hoga, is pe film honi chahiye. We should make a film on this." And somehow there was no money in the pocket, and it was a dream that time. But somehow in 21 we put our own money and made one film on this Kapse.
Okay.
And we showed it in our Swayam Talks event and appealed to people. We told them that this is what we want to do in future. We want to tell our stories through this powerful medium.
Right.
And this is a trailer of one such film. If you want to contribute, please contribute. And happy to tell that few people actually came forward and said that let's do it. So next project is Abhimanaspad Maharashtra. That is the stories which make Maharashtra proud. So this is a series which we are going to launch on 3rd of September. And there are 4 such stories. And currently we have 30 such stories in our kitty.
That's awesome.
So it's already 5-season concept. So we are coming up with the first season.
Oh, lovely. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Great. Wow. So again, coming back to the audience, do you see most of the time we complain about news carrying all the negativity? Please do visit the Swayam the website. And now since they are coming up with this and they have the YouTube channel for sure. Yeah. So I'll put that in the description of this podcast. So you must. They have a huge subscriber base over there, but still I would recommend you to go there. You are from Maharashtra, it is must. You are not from Maharashtra, still you'll get the energy. Still you'll find the enthusiasm, the human stories which are so appealing. And now when they're coming with the series, oh, I'm going to love it. And I'm so super charged about it. Everybody, please, if you want any positivity in life, as in Swayam Talks is the place for you. Okay? So I'll keep sharing the details with you. And I'm sure that all of you should visit there. Wow. So Ashay, Naveen, it has been such a fantastic journey. Just to conclude, as until this point of time, can you tell us in 1 or 2 lines what has been the life's meaning for you?
No,
Okay. Or maybe just a one-liner, whatever is your one-liner, to go one-liner. Do you have any one-liners in life?
I personally believe that if it is one life, it has to be all risks.
Okay. Wow.
Because without risk, you will not be able to find out what is there within you.
Right.
And again, it boils down to Swayam.
Yeah.
If you have to reach Swayam, you have to take all the risks available.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's a very painful process to reach Swayam.
No. College friends are always painful enough. Yes, Naveen, same goes, but you are a champion of one language.
No, absolutely not. I'm just getting more time
Yeah.
as Ashay is answering all the questions.
Right.
I think finding your Swayam, that is the thing I would say.
Right.
Everybody has to find his or her own Swayam.
Correct. Now, also, you guys have started a fantastic journey, and I think you are far ahead into it. I'm so lucky to get to talk to both of you.
Same here.
I'm bringing with energy, and this space is such a beautiful space. If you do not mind, after this podcast, I do want to capture a little bit to add it. And it's for everybody, everyone out there. I so strongly, even if you're on Spotify or any of the podcasts, do come to the YouTube channel because I'll share the glimpse. It's a small office. But trust me, the kind of energy, the kind of vibe, the positivity it's out there, that will encourage you. And I'm sure you will feel it on the video itself. And that will encourage you what you want to do. Till you are doing it right, just do it. Don't care about money. People will, once you take this step, Naveen took this step, and then Ashay has joined, and so many people are joining them. But you got to sustain it. And the time period I've given is at least 18 months to 2 years, and you'll get your answer. And whatever answer you get would be the right one. Right? So, yeah. With that,
I'm just wondering, can I ask one question?
oh, please go ahead. I'll be more than happy.
So what is the meaning of binary life? Why binary life?
Oh, so this is my coin. What happened was I wanted to get into this personal development space. For me also, self-journey is the journey. So coming from a small town from Bihar, like most I've spent is my self-development. Okay. And then what happened was somebody said, Kundan, you should buy your domain. Okay. And I said, okay. So I went, and when I started typing kundankumar.com, it sounded so dumb. I had to tell you, maybe there are people, I don't want to take any name, ankurvariku.com or sandevmaheshwari.com might sound good, or Peter Thiel might sound good, but I don't know, Kundan Kumar sounded so dumb. And actually I was looking for an idea. A human might go, but the idea stays. And I'm always struggled in my conversations, and the friend is taking a side. So that comes from a person journey that I see two people having a discussion. They'll take one stand, the other will take one stand, and they'll keep discussing. And most of the time, I have seen life very differently. For me, polarities do not exist. Life is not as simple as yes, no, red and, black and white, or, true and false, and good and bad. I'm always struggled with it, because when I see, even though I see 90% false, I see 1% there is a truth or reality in it. Or if you change the situation, things change. So what happened was I started calling it binary life. And I was completely opposite of it. So I started calling myself unbinary. Okay. And thankfully, there was a term which is called non-binary, that is for more for sexual orientation. Mine was more coming from your polarity stand. So that's where now I have made Unbinary Life as a concept, which I really want to take it forward. That's why now all my social media, I call myself Unbinary Kundan. Okay. So that philosophy is more about that the life, at least the metaphysics side of it, the feelings, the emotions, they are absolutely not binary. Please do not, and most of, and I'm sure now here comes, most of the time we get debate with the rational people, because rational people want to love to see the life in black and white, because then it will be very hard for you to make decision, right? If everything is depends, then there is no decision. So you're very right. So for action, I ask people to take a polarity, choose a polarity which side you want to move. It is not wrong, but to justify when you're diagnosing a situation, you have to know that, hey, this guy's 90% right and 10% wrong. I have to decide how do I want to interact with that.
Absolutely.
So that's how the whole environment concept is evolving. Even in my company, I have like my designation is NT-CEO. So I get a lot of questions on NT-CEO, that what is this NT-CEO? Because I have a love for people, and CEO is a very big name to hold upon. And then nobody, right? So then, but you have to tell people that you are the final decision maker. So that's how I keep trying on that. I got so many things from you guys. Now I have a list of there was no, but it was a lovely, lovely conversation, right? Yeah.
We had fun.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And that's why we try to keep it as human as possible. And yeah, maybe before we close this, okay, you were talking about, giving is not only about giving a space also people to vent on, or maybe share this humor. In today's space of AI, do you think AI can do this ever?
Even if it does, I think so. A human interaction is something which is so valuable, because every time it might come up with something new.
Right.
And I want AI to take care of routine things, but for the unique ones, I still prefer humans, because that's where humans are so fascinating.
Yeah. Okay. What is your take on AI?
So as far as, I think AI should be taken as a tool only.
Yeah.
As far as humans are concerned, I don't think there is any substitute to those emotions, those, I would say, unfairness, fairness, incorrectness. So I'll just put another one-liner. If you have you visited Fab India?
Yes, yeah.
So there is one amazing one quote which is put on the wall.
Right.
So if you find any deficiency in our clothing, it is accept that imperfection, because it is made by hands.
Oh, okay.
So that imperfection should also matter in our life. This is what I said.
Right.
I think this analogness of life should continue. Should last.
I always say the day this AI gains consciousness, they will fight us. How come you call me artificial and you are?
Absolutely correct.
All right. Okay. So with that, I think we'll bring it to the closer. It has been a wonderful journey, guys. I wish you all the best from Unbinary Life. And for sure, we'll be connected.
Sure.
I'll be tracking you, and most probably we'll put all the details also onto the channel. All right. Sure. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And from all my audience, I'm sure they would be bringing with the energy and they'll be smiling. So all the best to all.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Awesome. So guys, with that, this episode has been one of the best one which I have gone through. It's like there was so much of energy. For sure, there was double energy because two people were there. But I think this is where I always say that 1 and 1 can be 11. And that's only happens when there is a human relationship. It is, I can see so much happening where the brain and the heart, when comes together, they can do miracles. And this human story is going to be a fascinating one. I'm going to be connected with them for long. I hope so will you. With that, I really want to thank you for all the time you have spent with us. So at the end, take charge of your life and reach out to us on any social media if you want. If you have any emotions to share, we are available on the Gmail ID at the name of unbinarylife@gmail.com or at hello@unbinarylife.com. I wish you all the best for your life, and I'll catch up with you again onto the next episode. Thanks and have a good time. Bye-bye.